The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to another edition of our program CHW in Action with your host, Rafael Calderon. As always, CHW stands for Community Health Worker in Action because I'm always in action to bring the community of Nashua information about living a healthy lifestyle. And as we all know, a healthy lifestyle is a full balanced life. And today I have the privilege and the honor to have these two amazing gentlemen here with us, and they will talk about how to vote for the presidential election. And the whole idea of having this show here, this gentleman here, is because health is very much impacted by who is at the White House. And we, the community, the people, as we vote, we get to dictate who gets into the House. So if we want to have a healthy lifestyle, we want to support someone that supports health. So the idea of the show is just to show you how to do it. We're not going to tell you who to vote for. That's your choice, your right. We simply want to show you how to do it. And I have the privilege, again, I'll say, to have Honorable Carlos Gonzalez, State Representative. He is a Republican, a very good friend of mine that I've known since 2007, great guy. And my friend Alejandro Urrutia, who's a State Representative candidate. He's a Democrat. You've seen him before in my TV show. So all the three of us, we simply want you to be well informed on how to vote on November 8th. With that, let us introduce our guests. Carlos, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, and I thank you for inviting me to this program, which is basically focusing on election time, the presidential election, and I'm welcome to do the best I can to explain how to vote to the general public.
Thank you. Don Alejandro, welcome back.
No, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here in your program and also to be here with Honorable Carlos Gonzalez. I think this is great because he's a Republican, I am a Democrat. That means we have different points of view in many things, and we have talked about those many times. But we are still very good friends, and I'm looking forward to have the honor to be able to work with him and the State House, and I'm sure we are going to do great things. And this is important that what Rafael was pointing out, that is the impact on our lives, on health and everything, we choose. But not always who is on the White House, because sometimes on these elections is so much noise and spectacle around the presidential elections that we forgot the local guys.
The local guys.
And actually, probably, if you live on Manchester, on Ward 10, the fact that Carlos is there have more impact in your lives than who is at the White House. So there is something very important, and we want to be sure that, because there's so many names on these ballots, that is sometimes for people could be confusing, and between Carlos and I, we are going to try to clarify how to do it.
Beautiful, and we have the opportunity to show the community here as a whole that we can get along, that we can get from different parties, we can sit down and talk, because we both want the well-being of the community as a whole, of everybody. So Republican, Democrat, CHW, let's get together and show people how to vote. I'll let you two get onto this because I wanted to bring it together, and I know that you guys can do it better than me. So go for it.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to give a compliment to Dr. Alejandro Urrutia for his persistence on running for state representative here on the Southern Tier, and the Hudson and the Nassau area. And I believe that he does get a good chance on this occasion. Is this your third try?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what do they say about the third try?
The good one.
Yeah, right. That's the one that counts.
That's the one that counts, you know. So don't lose hope. I do believe you got a very strong chance, and the odds are on your side, you know. I have to also, on another note, commend Rafael for bringing this program to the general public, because having exposure for the Latino Hispanic community into the general mainstream is very important. You know, we are here and we believe in inclusion, in participating, into being part of the system, the status quo, the localities, the small towns, and the likes. And we want to be pretty much participatory, all due respect, just like anyone. You know, that's what we are here for, and that's why I commend Rafael Calderon for doing this program, because it is not just about wealth, but it's also educational.
Yes, I agree 100%.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Well, we have here on the table a ballot. There is, we put first from Manchester, and there is Ward 10. And there is what is sometimes very confusing is because there is so many names there, and some people say, well, who is all of these people? Because we have been always listening about who is on the top. So you see on the column on the left side of the ticket, this column is the title of the offices. For example, here this is for President and Vice President of the United States. Then governors. That means all the candidates that are running for the presidency and vice presidents are going to be here. This one column, second column, third column. On this column are the Republican candidates. On this column are the Democrat candidates. But there is other people also running to become presidents. That is said other candidates. So there is some people that they don't belong to any party. There is some people they belong to so they are independent, or they are libertarian. So they are going to be over here because the amount of how is the polls, they are not get to go to the debates, and that is why the people, they don't know them well. They don't have that strong support. So, but the two major parties on the United States is the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. All of the names that are here, down here, and down here, all of those are the different candidates that are running for different office here on the Republican ticket and here on the Democrat ticket. Okay. I think if we concentrate in those two columns, it's going to be easier to understand.
I see. So for me, someone that has, if I hadn't bought, I bought all the time, every single year.
Okay.
But if I had not done it before, what would be the process? Do I circle? Do I fill in the circle? Do I put an X on it? How does that work?
Well, there is you see beside each name, for example, here you will see Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. So they are the candidates for president and vice president. So that is the ticket. So if you want to, you are going to vote for, on the other side, on the Republican side, is Donald Trump, and there is a Pace that is running for the vice president. So there is, if you want to vote for Hillary, well, you fill it up, this little dot over there, and now you are voting for Hillary. If you want to decide to vote for Donald Trump, you fill it up, that little circle that is set for Donald Trump. But you see, there is you keep going down on that list, and there is other. For example, we are also electing a governor, and there is, and for governor is, Chris Sununu, and there is Colin Van Oster. They are, Colin is on the Democrat side, Chris Sununu is on the Republican side. And also, as we mentioned before, there is a Libertarian candidate on this case that is Max Abramson, and there is also running. So you decide to vote for Libertarian, so you fill it up, that little circle that is the Libertarian. The good thing is not necessarily, because, for example, if I am on the Ward 10 and I am a Democrat, but I happen to admire very much my friend Carlos Gonzalez, well, yes, I'm going to probably vote for everyone that is on the Democrat ticket, but I will give one of my votes to Carlos Gonzalez, so I will fill it up that circle. So that is not necessarily so you can choose, because maybe you admire somebody and you can choose that person. So but you need to have in mind that here are the federal positions first on the top. So there is the White House. There is going to be the governor. So it's very important who is our governor here on the state. And there is who is going to be the senators. In this time, there is competing for the Senate is Kelly Ayotte, or Governor Maggie Hassan. Now she's running against Kelly Ayotte. She's looking for the re-election. And there is another two candidates. That is a Libertarian, that is Brian Chabot, and Aaron Day is another candidate. So that isn't the way that you can choose. And there is other names that is for Congress. For example, it depends if you are on District 1 or District 2, these names begin to change. For example, there is on this, Manchester is on District 1. So there is Carol, for example, Shea Porter, that is running against Frank Quinta on the Republican ticket. And if you go to, I'm going to move this paper, and then I'm going to see another District 1 that is going to be on the National Ward 4, District 1, and you can see now begin to see some different names. From the top, that is a Republican, there is the candidate running on the Republican ticket and independents, and that is, again, the same thing is for the White House. Then there is for governor, still the same, no difference, but now begin to change because for the Senate, I'm sorry, it's the same. And now when we are talking about the representatives, there's District 2, and there is Ann McLean Coster on the Democrat ticket, and that is running against on the Republican side to John Babias. And there is Jim Lawrence that is running for the Republican ticket. So those names begin to change.
And if I may say so, then the whole idea of showing both ballots is because this show is out of Nashua, but we also want to reach out to the Manchester community. Yes. Because it is that we want to get everybody educated on how to vote.
Yes, do you know what is this is, for example, I'm running for the District 37. That is two towns, it's Pelham and Hudson. And I have a very good Latino friends, and they said, you know, what happened? I was looking for your name on the ballot. I couldn't find it. No, because you live in Nashua. So that, unfortunately, they cannot vote for me. Okay. But there is, so those, in the District 1 and District 2, the names begin to change. But if we continue going down, there is more changes because, for example, that is, and I'm going to let Carlos Gonzalez to explain what is the difference between the wards on Manchester. So there is another to explain what is the wards.
Yes, yeah.
That divide.
I mean, districts and wards can be confusing. You know, basically wards are within the district. You know, my district is District 45. But then I have 3 wards that I had to cover: Ward 10. Ward 11, and Ward 12. It's like subdivisions within the general district. Your district is, what is the number of your district?
37.
Yeah, District 37 very likely has those subdivisions, you know. Yeah. And that's why you have to, for those people that you know and you're reaching out, explain to them your subdivisions, wards, or as they are allocated. You said Pelham. You're in Pelham, right?
Pelham. So there is Pelham and Hudson are the two. And then, so I'm running for those 2 towns. It's the District 37. So we are not division of wards.
So, well, then in that case, you don't have to deal with the situation in my case. So I have to reach out to 3 different subdivisions or wards, and basically my constituency is all of the above. You know, I have a constituency which, of course, because you have to participate being in one of the 2 parties, or you are independent or libertarian, or you are Green Party. You know, Jill Einstein is a female candidate that is pretty much oriented on the Green Party. Then you have the others that are in the Libertarian, and then you have the main 2 parties, Republicans and Democrats. You know, Gary Johnson as a 3rd party candidate, together with Bill Weld, which is a former governor from Massachusetts, they are on the Libertarian ticket. I will consider the 3 main parties are those: Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarian. The Green Party is there, but it's a smaller party than the Libertarian Party.
Forgive my lack of knowledge, but what does the Libertarian Party stand for? What do they pursue?
Well, the Libertarian Party is one in which there is much more independence and freedom for the people. You know, they are pretty much very non-dependent in government. They want government to be as small as possible, as not intruding in people's life and liberties at all. And when it comes to freedom, I mean freedom. You know, so that goes for wealth. You know, you do know, for example, the marijuana. You know, the marijuana, the medical marijuana. That's how the medical marijuana pretty much got a sponsor, and it became today a law. It was the libertarian people that were really pressing, and again, that's what I said, that this program is educational, because it is the interaction politically of all of the above that create those issues, and the issues eventually, in time, permeate. And today we have medical marijuana that is all pretty much in the 50 states. You know, it's here in New Hampshire, you know, and it's implemented as we speak, you know. So those are the issues that, to some extent, we didn't even think about that 6 years ago. But they are fresh, implemented laws for the state of New Hampshire. Now, right now, we have the medical marijuana, and it's good for those people that are suffering of any kind of illnesses. And it's really good in the sense that it alleviates their pain. Whether they're going to pass away or not, it's not for me to decide, because I'm no God, you know. But the fact of the matter is that there are proven scientific facts that it does help some form of diseases that some people do have in life, and they have to use it. And that's why it became legal. However, some people will say, hey, don't become a free state, marijuana state, you know, where, you know, by the way, there are 2 states, you know, Oregon, and I think it's Colorado, that they do have the implementation of the law of free marijuana. I mean, you just don't know how things happen. That means libertarian. Libertarian. And I repeat, libertarian means freedom and less government, less intrusion on private life.
Well, and there is, talking about this, so there is how those laws, how, for example, medical marijuana become law, because it passed by the State House and that passed on the Senate. So there is on the ticket, if we keep going, then we were talking about those different names on the wards. You are going to find different names. For example, you live in Ward 10 or in Ward 2 or on District 37. And there is, for example, Carlos Gonzalez, Honorable Carlos Gonzalez, will not be on Ward 8. His name is not going to be there. Right. So you need to be living in Ward 10 to be able to vote for him. So, but this is extremely important because actually is the legislative body of the state who makes the law. And that is important. And how that happens is because there is committees. And those committees sit and listen to the testimony of people that go over there, for example, physicians, and they tell why it should be legalized, for example, medical marijuana. And also patients, and they say how they benefit with the medical marijuana. And all of those, maybe there is a state representative there that it was against that, but changed his mind because get educated. That is why it's very important that those good state representatives are the state representatives that they are listen the people they serve. That is the key.
I'm glad you touched on that. I'm sorry if I interrupted you because
No.
I said earlier that I vote every year because I feel like I'm voting every year because I vote on everything where I think I can have an impact. I think that it's a privilege and a duty to be able to vote. It's a way to show civic duty to our community. So I'm always voting. Both of you, you're an honorable state representative, Carlos Gonzalez. You're soon to be an honorable representative because I'm sure you're going to win. What would you guys say, this is a question for both of you, for the community as a whole, why is it important to vote on everything that has to do with any type of election that has to do with the community, with the state, with the country? Why should people be involved and aware and voting, let's say, every year like me?
Well, because the vote is the way to bring your voice to the government. Okay. So that is what we need to there is very important is to know your representatives, know your candidates, have every opportunity to meet with them, explain what you need, what are your concerns, and they are going to be the representing you on the State House, on the Concord, on the Congress of the state. And that is going to make the laws and because what you need. So that is extremely important. The only way that your voice can count is because you vote.
Well,
that is I don't see other things. Obviously, you said well, and also to decide not to vote is to vote for the people that you don't want to be in the government. And I'm talking about local elections, mayor, state representatives, state senate, and all the way up to the federal level.
Thank you very much.
Well, you know, it's very important to recognize that if you do participate, you make the difference in how the city or the town or the state government is run. It is your participation that makes it be different, with a different status. I had to just pinpoint what happened to me in one election. I lost the election by 32 votes. And people were telling me, you could do a recusation pretty much, you know, trying to revert the vote. But the fact of the matter is that to both candidates to gain 5 votes up or 5 votes down is grueling. You know, it's not as easy as to say, okay, let's do it, and you're gonna be on the final outcome when they do the recount, that's what it's called. People were pressing me on the telephone. You have to do a recount. You have to do a recount, and I say, 10% of all of those votes, and the fact is to turn around 5 votes. Either one of them. If I get 5, it's very likely the other candidate is going to get 5. So for me to, at that particular moment, to overcome those 32 votes, it was an uphill battle. And that's the fact, and that's the number. I know a distinguished honorable, God bless him, he spent his whole life running. And when I won my first election in the year 2000, when I first got elected, which basically I became the first Latino, the first Hispanic American elected in the state of New Hampshire. And this gentleman, which which unfortunately 2 years later he passed away. He won that election. He kept running and running and running. Now, what I'm getting at is he won the election by how? Just give me a wild guess. What was the difference?
7.
10.
1 vote.
Wow.
That's how he won. And I remember I do have a picture with him. I tell you something, the way that I am a believer in God strongly, that this guy, that you ask for the seat allocation. You don't always get it. But I ask, please place me in one seat in front of the speaker, where the speaker is addressing all of us, which are 400, and as close as possible. So they put me on the third row.
Okay.
And right there, facing the Speaker of the House and the secretaries and all the computer people that are in front of us, they do the tally for the vote. And there is Representative Wayne, I remember his last name, next to me. Little did I know that for him was just like me. There is a native-born American, respectful citizen. I could care less about the party at this point. What I'm talking about is participation, what matters. And his dream became a reality. 1 term. And little did he know that he was going to pass the next year. He passed away. He won by 1 vote. That's a historic election right there in Manchester for this particular gentleman to win his election. And then it's the first Latino sitting next door to him. So now I have this picture, which I haven't done any duplicates. I don't much follow the pictures. I know that some people like to plus pictures everywhere, but I try to keep those things kind of to myself. But the picture is there, and that's a fact, and it's to bear witness of what elections can do, and why you, when you go to vote, can make the difference. He won by 1 vote. I also, just explained to you, lost an election by 32 votes. And you would not believe how many people were angry because they wanted me to do a recount.
You know that just when this is getting interesting, we run out of time.
Yeah.
You have to come back. Okay? This is your place. You can come back whenever you want to.
Thank you.
So in closing, I want to thank you both for coming to the TV show. Thank you for the audience. As you can see, we ran out of time because these 2 gentlemen are amazing gentlemen. We have so many topics to cover, but the main thing is that we hope that you learn how to vote, how to do the process. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You know that my information is at the end of the TV show. So with that, I thank you, as always, your friend, your CHW, Rafael Calderon. God bless you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.